Well, as all of you are aware, the COVID-19 pandemic has forced thousands of Bahamians to rely on some form of social assistance just to get by daily, many of them turning to charitable organizations that make up the Food Distribution Task Force. In this week's edition of Things You Should Know, the executive director of the Bahamas Feeding Network says thousands have been purged from the list of beneficiaries, but he remains hopeful they can still provide some degree of help. Cleopatra Murphy has the details.
Minister, the Most Honorable Dr. Hubert Minnis, announced that government will provide an additional $10 million to allow the Food Distribution Task Force to extend the feeding program into January, in a move that will provide needed assistance for thousands of struggling families. The Bahamas Feeding Network, that has been a part of the task force since the beginning of June, has been feeding 9,100 families consistently throughout the COVID-19 pandemic. The agency's executive director, Philip Smith, says with the program coming to an end, they were forced to reduce how many people they could feed.
We have reduced the numbers to, I think it's around 18,000 families. So we reduced it by 66%. So we are feeding a third of the numbers that we were feeding for the last 6 months. So this final 2 months, well, November, we're presently in December. The last 2 months, November and December, we have had to reduce those numbers by 2/3 or 66%. So we are now feeding 1/3 of the numbers that we were feeding.
He says through the pandemic, the entire task force has fed 55,000 families, representing more than half the country's population. Smith, who continues to appeal for corporate Bahamas and regular citizens to donate, says the task force is focused on the most vulnerable.
These are persons who would not have gotten their jobs back, no national insurance income. And so these are the people that we believe to be the absolute most vulnerable. Unfortunately, there are still persons that we would have taken off of the list that are still in need. So we are hoping that the private sector would give a little more so that we could help more of those persons that have been taken off the list.
Smith says the task force will be working on raising $30 million to help as many hurting families as possible, hopefully enabling the collective body to assist families to the end of 2021.
Food is a basic need, and when people don't have food, they become desperate. And so more crime goes up. And so just want to appeal to corporate Bahamas as well as the general public. If you can give, please give something and help these people who are truly, truly in need.
Cleopatra Murphy, ZNS Network News.